Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website. That's riseunwindtv.com. And what's happening on today's show? Well, we got this.
I think in the world of this story, she doesn't have a choice, and I think these boys don't have a choice. It's voluntary, but you have to sign up for the long walk.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Do you ever feel like your money disappears faster than your paycheck hits the account? Well, you're not alone. October is National Financial Planning Month, and it's the perfect time to reset your finances and find simple, free ways to save. So joining me is Darlene Goins, Head of Philanthropy and Community Impact at Wells Fargo, with some practical tips to help us get on track towards financial freedom. Welcome to the show, Darlene. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. With everything costing more and more these days, how are Americans feeling right now about their personal finances?
Times are tough for a lot of people right now. They're trying to stretch their paycheck further. About a third of Americans feel like they're just getting by. But the great thing is, you don't have to worry about managing your finances alone. There are a lot of great resources out there that can help.
And what are some surprisingly easy places people can start by saving money right now?
So I like to offer 4 surprising tips to people to help boost their financial future. The first is think about things that you're passionate about. Do you like to bake? Do you like to make jewelry or walk dogs? Can you turn that into a business? Reach out to a community development financial institution and they can help you put together a business plan and figure out how to access startup capital. Second, in terms of your budget, housing costs are always a big part of your monthly expenses. But if you're a renter, think about negotiating your rent with your landlord. You don't have to accept an increase without having a conversation first. Caregivers for people with disabilities and their families, many states offer ABLE accounts. These are special savings accounts that can help you save for education, healthcare, and transportation. And as we wrap up the year and enter tax season, think about tapping into free tax preparation services. VITA centers or voluntary income tax assistance centers can help you maximize your refund and see if you're eligible for things like child tax credits.
And you mentioned there are some free tools out there. What are some of the best free resources for better financial planning?
Well, Wells Fargo and its foundation donate about $280 million to nonprofits to provide free resources and support to communities. Saver Life offers free scripts that can help you negotiate your rent with your landlord. The National Disability Institute can help you understand and access ABLE accounts. And the Small Business Resource Navigator can help connect you to a community development financial institution.
And where can our viewers go if we get more and maybe find those free tools that you just mentioned?
All of these resources are housed in one place at stories.wf.com/financial future. I hope your viewers will check it out.
Darlene, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Have you ever wondered about the stories behind some of heavy metal's most legendary and sometimes misunderstood figures? From Randy Rhoads to Dimebag Darrell, Wendy O. Williams to Judas Priest on trial, these are tales of creativity, tragedy, and survival. Hulu's new docuseries Into the Void takes us behind the curtain of metal to reveal the raw and very human stories behind the music. So joining me are the creators of the series, Evan, Husney, and Jason Eisner. Welcome to the show, you two.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for having us.
All right, heavy metal has always carried a reputation for being extreme in sound and lifestyle. What made you want to explore the more human side of these artists in Into the Void?
Well, outside of, Jason and I growing up as huge metal fans, and any opportunity to make this your job is a total dream come true. Outside of our love and passion for, metal and wanting people to, appreciate the genre more, I think that metal is a very interesting world to examine because, as you said at the top of the show, it is a genre that is often, misunderstood, misrepresented, or even weaponized by other people to further their own agendas in many ways, historically, which, of course, our show examines throughout the 80s and early 90s. And so I think it was an opportunity for us to kind of create a series that goes beyond just, their career trajectories, their albums, the process of writing music and their hit songs, to really reveal the human side of all these figures and artists in this world, and to really show that, they're much more than just their larger than life stage personas. These are regular people who go through the same things we do, tragedy, triumph, resilience, perseverance, and things like that. And it really gave us the opportunity to highlight that with this series, and any opportunity to get more people into the genre or to respect the genre, to understand it more, is definitely awesome and enough for me.
And one of the more striking episodes is about Judas Priest being put on trial, accused of influencing a tragedy. What is that moment, or any other moment within the series, that talk about the cultural battles metal has faced?
Well, in particular, sorry, I feel like I'm Jason, if you want to hop in, but for me, it's like I feel with that story in particular, it's very relevant to now. I mean, Judas Priest, that story and everything that happened in terms of really looking at sort of a conservative Christian movement in the 80s that was sort of looking at metal as this very evil thing that was corrupting youth. It was causing teenage delinquency. It was inspiring crimes and things like that. And they sort of weaponized the genre to further their own cause. And that really caused that spiraled off into the PMRC and other things and other forms of censorship with heavy metal for a long time. And I feel like there was sort of a prophecy in terms of what all of the metal artists of that era were fighting against, that we're sort of seeing coming into fruition now. And I think in terms of free speech and in terms of other things. So I really do feel like it's very prescient to look at these stories from the past and sort of look at what we can learn from them in terms of, the freedom of artistic expression, trying to be put under attack and trying to be, harnessed and taken away.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot for people to learn from our episode on Confess, who are this a metal band from Iran who were persecuted for their music that spoke out about religion and the government, and they were actually arrested by the government for their music and were facing very serious jail time, and they had to flee their country to be able to pursue their art and their freedom of expression. And so I think that's definitely an episode I think that's going to feel very timely right now.
Exactly.
I want to thank you two for joining me today. All 8 episodes of Into the Void are now streaming on Hulu. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's a powerful look at the legends, the overlooked trailblazers, and the stories that continue to shape heavy metal culture today. I want to thank you two for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Stephen King fans, this one is for you. His very first novel, The Long Walk, is finally on the big screen. From Francis Lawrence, the director behind The Hunger Games, comes a chilling thriller that asks the haunting question, how far would you go? One of the emotional anchors of this film is Judy Greer, playing Miss Garrity, the devoted mother of Ray, the story's central character. Judy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, this story has been a favorite of King fans for decades. What stood out to you about The Long Walk when you first read the script?
I was really scared of having to see these boys lose their lives. It stood out to me how, I guess what was so interesting was that Stephen King wrote this book in 1969, and we're making this movie in 2024 when we shot it, but 2025 when it comes out, and like how still relevant it is, and how you can tell a story about universal themes and that it works no matter what year it comes out. It's always a story about connection, to me, like I see a lot of positive in this story. I see the beautiful relationships that are built, the grace that these men offer each other, and the love and connection.
Your character, Miss Garrity, she brings so much heart to this intense survival tale. How did you approach balancing her love for her son with the fear of letting him go?
Well,
that much, I can see.
I felt, how did I balance my love for him with letting him go? I have a stepson who's 25, and as much as I want to control his life and I want him to do everything that I think he should do, because I know that I'm right all the time about everything, we can't control our kids. We have to let them go. We have to give them agency. I think that's a really literal answer. I think in the world of this story, she doesn't have a choice. And I think these boys don't have a choice. It's voluntary, but you have to sign up for the long walk. So there's really nothing that can be done. But I balance trusting that I suppose what's meant to happen will happen. But I also feel like Ginny, that's my character's name, she doesn't really balance it. Like, she understands the depth and the gravity of what is going on in a way that she knows her son doesn't yet.
And The Long Walk, it doesn't just thrill, it kind of leaves audiences with the big question about sacrifice, hope, and survival. What do you hope moviegoers? Okay, what do you think moviegoers carry with them when they kind of leave the theater?
I love the theater. After I saw it the first time, I've seen it twice, I was sobbing and screaming at the screen. Thankfully, I was the only one watching it in the screening room, screaming, why? But I left feeling so much love and so much hope in my heart. I guess that's what I think, what I hope audiences will feel as it starts to really stick to your bones. You realize it's a story about love and connection and hope. And Peter McVree's the character played by David Johnson says, choose love. And it is like gutting when he says it to me.
All right. I'm kind of heartbroken right now.
I love this movie. I really do. I mean, I think it's so beautiful when you really like take away the horror of what we watch. We think like all we have is our connection to other people. All we have is our love for other people. I mean, and this movie is like kind of a little microcosm of life. Like we start walking and then at some point it ends. All that's there is really like trying to connect to people that you don't know and loving strangers maybe.
All right. And everything in between, like trying to connect on the way. All right.
Yeah.
The Long Walk is in theaters now. For showtimes, head to longwalk.movie and check your local listings to experience this powerful adaptation of Stephen King's first novel on the big screen. Judy, I love you to death. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
What does it take to stare down a 1-ton bull and hold your ground 8 seconds at a time? In Not Her First Rodeo, we follow the real lives of elite lady bull riders, women who are rewriting the rules of rodeo and risking it all for the win. As the heart of it is 4-time world champion Jordan Halverson, who's not just riding, she's basically leading a movement. She's here today to talk about the new docuseries, the grit it takes to make it, and why this really isn't her first rodeo. Welcome to the show, Jordan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Rodeo has always fascinated me, and actually, I have my own belt buckle. I did ride a bull once. I fell off in the first few seconds, so this is basically a participation trophy for bull riding. So, hey, you're a 4-time world champion. Can you take us back to the beginning, like the days that you first started out? What made you get into the bull in the first place?
You know, like it honestly for me started by chance. I grew up riding hunter jumper horses, a little bit wild, a little bit smaller than some of the other riders. So I was actually riding naughty horses and ponies. And we had a buddy that said, "Hey, what do you think about riding a bull?" And I obviously said yes. And yeah, same thing. I fell off very fast the first time, but it was just more of a bucket list thing for me. And that's how I started. And I was hooked and kept going back week after week after that.
Yeah, I told the guy, how do I get a buckle? And he's like, well, you have to ride a bull. I was like, come on, man. I was trying to like catch a greased pig, go like lasso a sheep or something. Because I grew up in ranches and stuff with my family. So they stuck me on a bull. He's like, if you get on this bull in a rodeo, we'll give you a buckle. So they did this whole participation trophy thing. So I get it. I love it. This show really captures the risk and realities of the sport. What do you hope viewers take away from watching your story?
I hope they take away that, you know, you can do anything in life. You know, don't be afraid to follow your dreams, you know, push through any kind of boundaries there are and just live a life that you want to live. And
you also started your own all-women's bull riding league. What inspired that and how has that actually grown?
So they actually used to have women's rough stock riding events in rodeo, you know, a long time ago, early 2000s and prior to that. And so when I had learned about that several years after I started riding, you know, we had been kind of working towards bringing that back that they used to have for women to be able to compete against other women in the sport of bull riding.
And how do you go about mentally preparing doing bull riding each time? I was scared as hell, but how do you go about doing it because you know what's at stake?
You know, I just think about the challenge, think about what I've got to work through. And for me, all the preparation that goes in beforehand helps me mentally. If I feel physically ready, mentally ready, like it just it helps every time I go to get on.
And the show also highlights, it's not just a sport, but kind of like a sisterhood. What has the community of women in bull riding meant to you?
You know, we all have our different struggles, and you can always learn something from another woman, whatever they're going through. And, you know, whether that be in our riding or in our everyday life, you know, we've just learned to, you know, help each other out and grow as we grow in this sport.
Jordan Halverson, thanks for joining me this morning. You got to catch Not Her First Rodeo. It's a new 6-part docuseries from ABC News Studios, premiering on Freeform with 2 back-to-back episodes. Then you can binge the whole full series on Hulu. Thanks for joining me this morning, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
You ever wish your workplace felt more like a fairy tale or maybe a villain's lair? Millions of readers have fallen in love with a TikTok series that turned into a best-selling book phenomenon. The latest chapter, Accomplice to the Villain, is already topping the New York Times list. So joining us is author Nicole Maehrer, whose mix of magic, romance, and humor has made her one of today's most exciting voices in romanticy. Is that really a word? Welcome to the show, Hannah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing my best, but I guess I'm still here. Your book started as a fun TikTok series of skits. How did these short videos grow into like a best-selling book series?
Oh my gosh. I think the idea was born on TikTok. So with each video that I posted, the story kind of started to develop itself. These characters started to feel like real and tangible to me. And it became such a exciting idea in my head that I couldn't stand it just sitting in my mind anymore. So I had to sit down to write it. It was probably the most words I've ever written in one sitting. It was like 10,000 words because I'd been waiting to write it. It like spilled out of me. I've never been able to repeat that word count in one sitting. I would love to. I've never seen that girl again. But yeah, that's how it kind of born into a TikTok series to book. And I got to document it all on TikTok.
Fans describe Accomplice to the Villain as Once Upon a Time meets The Office. What inspired you to like blend fantasy with like one of these workplace comedies?
I think it was a lot of the things I consumed growing up. I was a huge fan of Shrek. I loved The Princess Bride, Ella Enchanted, Stardust, like very quirky, fun fairy tales that kind of flip around the story a little bit, but add like a whole bunch of whimsy. And that's what I grew up consuming, and that's all of my favorite stories. So writing a book that kind of incorporates all of those things while also incorporating villains, which is my other favorite thing, was kind of, I think, just a quick pipeline from everything that I consumed as a child to now.
Evie and the villain have such a unique dynamic. What can readers expect from their relationship in this latest book?
Same push pill, slow burn romance that we've always had, but obviously with each book, the tension gets amped up because, you know, we're progressing slowly but surely. The slow burn is probably the most joyous and complaints that I get. It's the in tandem together, and I understand it because I'm also shoving their heads together, but the characters don't listen to me. So I'm just kind of babysitting them at this point.
You're like,
Oh my
please
God.
kiss.
I
can see
literally
that
every book
imagery
I'm
already.
like, come on.
You've built a huge community online. How does that instant feedback from the fans help shape your writing?
Oh my gosh, I think it was such a huge motivator when I was writing the book. And I realized how rare that is when you're sitting and writing a book. It's usually such an isolating experience because it's just you and your computer. But with this experience, it was me and my computer. But every time I wrote an excerpt I was really excited about, I would go and I would share it with the audience that had been following along with the TikTok skits and also loved the characters just as much as I do. So it's a really unique experience, but it was definitely motivating while in the writing journey to hear people say, I can't wait to read your book. Hearing that in and of itself was a wild thing. It still is a wild thing to me. So it's amazing.
And since fandom is so deep on this, is there like an issue managing expectations when writing the next chapter? Because sometimes fans take it over and kind of adopt it as their own, and they kind of get upset when things are changing. Is that something
I
there?
encourage people to do that, I think, because this story isn't just mine. It's for everybody that needs it, and everybody that wants to be a part of it is welcome to be a part of it. So I encourage that. I actually think it's really important. But when I go in to write, I don't think about anything else but the characters. I kind of have tunnel vision. So I don't worry about expectations. I don't worry about disappointing anybody because the only thing I'm focused on is making sure I'm doing the right thing for the characters and the right thing for the story. And as long as I'm doing that, that's the compass I follow. I think you can't go wrong because you can't please everybody. So if you try to go that route, you're going to fail every single time. So always stick true to what's true for you.
Hannah, thank you for joining me. Accomplice to the Villain is out now wherever books are sold, and the hardcover special edition of Assistant of the Villain arrives September 16th, so don't miss your chance to dive into this magical, laugh-out-loud world. Thanks for being here, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely chatting with you.
You ever wonder what happens when a quiet acoustic project grows into a full-blown rock trio? Sacramento's own Vinnie Guidera and the Deadbirds have done just that. Their new album, Afterimage, is packed with sharp lyrics and inventive sounds, all created on a DIY budget and released completely on their own. Vinnie, Kevin, and Ian are proof that creativity kind of wins over constraints. Welcome to the show, Vinnie. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
All right, this project started out as you and an acoustic guitar. What made you start to expand into a full band?
I've played with Kevin and Ian on and off since we were in high school. Initially, this was a solo acoustic project, and we built it up for a full band show that was supposed to be like a one-off special thing. And we ended up really liking that arrangement and enjoyed exploring the dynamics of playing a little bit louder and heavier.
And the new record, Afterimage, it was self-recorded, self-released. What did doing it yourselves kind of allow you to explore what you might not have otherwise?
If we were paying for studio time, it would be a constant battle against the clock and just, constantly thinking about paying by the hour, things like that. And if we're doing it at home, we can take our time, do it at our own pace, explore ideas that come along the way, and it shifts the focus from our budget to creative matters, which is the way it should be.
And your latest single, One at a Time, it digs into feelings of like dread creeping out during like quiet moments. How did you bring your idea to life in the music video? It's
sort of in the same DIY spirit. I wanted to explore visuals of something familiar that looks wrong and uncanny, because the song's about kind of dark thoughts and anxiety coming from within, even when everything should be okay. So we used my house for the majority of the video, and we just kind of made my house look wrong.
And you run your acoustic through pedals and a Marshall half stack. Why'd you choose that setup, and how does that shape the band sound?
That was my setup when I was playing lead guitar in a very different band. And when we built this up for a three-piece, I plugged my acoustic into that same amp just because that's what was there. And it ended up opening up a lot of dynamic possibilities. So I like the way an acoustic resonates through an electric rig. I think it feels interesting, and it results in some interesting textures.
I always like to ask about ask musicians about some other artists that influence them, and it's not the generic "what musicians influence you," because we could go down that list and it's probably the same answer every time. But what are some of the artists outside of the medium that you work in that influence your work, and how do you feel that they do?
It's probably no surprise based on my background here that I'm a big David Lynch fan. So especially when it comes time to make a music video or cover art or something beyond the music itself, it's fun to draw on influences like that. And I think David Lynch was a master of creating this uncanny feeling where you can't exactly put your finger on why it makes you uncomfortable. You just know that it does. And it's fun to try to capture that in the art that I make.
With Afterimage that it's out now and you have a November tour ahead, what can fans expect from some of these live shows?
They can expect a bunch of songs from the new album, maybe a fun cover here and there. We're going to be playing in cities we've never played before, which will be exciting. And I'm really just looking forward to new people hearing our stuff and hopefully finding something that resonates with them.
From conception to projection, how long did it take you guys to come up with the idea for the music video, maybe even the song that went along with it, and to finally showing it on screen for friends and fans?
The idea stemmed from the cover art. It's sort of an expansion on that imagery of you know, darkness and anxiety coming from inside rather than outside. So it didn't really take long to come up with the idea, and the actual production of the video was pretty quick. It only took, I don't know, maybe a week to film and edit it. And yeah, now it premiered on a local music website here in Sacramento, and I'm excited for people to see it far and wide.
All right, let's take a peek at One at a Time with Vinnie, Guidera, and the Deadbirds. You can check out Afterimage on color vinyl, CD, or digital right now at vgdb.bandcamp.com. Keep up with the band's tour and new music by following VG and the DB on Instagram or at facebook.com/Vinnie Guidera Music. Hey, Vinnie, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
That's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. Go to our website, riseunwindtv.com. Follow us on social media. That's at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was Rise Unwind.